I'm hitting record. Well, good morning, everyone. I can't see what day it was. Welcome to the January 5th meeting of the Lower Downtown Design Review Commission. So I'll call the meeting to order. That's really fine. You can do it.
Are we being recorded?
We are. Yeah.
It says, hey, next to the microphone on.
That's the
Web video.
Oh, so web video is the feed to the video,
Okay.
and then we have a web audio that's through that. Yes. So yes,
All
we
right.
are being recorded. The new year, we forget things. Yes. So before we begin our discussion, we'll go through and review. Oh, yes. Sorry, that's my job. Okay. Excellent be here.
We should do roll call?
Probably, yes, let's do roll call. Oh, cool, then, let's do that, yeah. So, my cheat sheet. I like to stick to my cheat sheet. Okay, so, for, options for public comment, if you're joining by computer, if you're joining by computer, tablet, or smartphone, select the hand raise option. Yes, okay. And if you are calling in by phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Also, we're going to go through some upfront. Yes, if you have any issues with participating virtually, we have a few tips that we want to run over very quickly. For better sound quality, we strongly encourage you to download the Zoom app onto your device. If you're having audio issues, you can click audio settings to bring up a menu. One that we find very useful is to choose the background noise suppression so that as we rustle our papers, it doesn't interfere with your ability to hear. You also have the opportunity to test your speakers and microphones and adjust the maximum output of volume on that menu. For all presenters and public commenters, when it's your turn to speak, we will ask you to unmute. To do that, click on the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Expanding the menu next to the microphone will reveal some additional options. You can select your speaker and your microphone devices if you're having trouble with any of those. And again, it will allow you to test your microphone and your speakers and adjust their volume. If you still are having issues, you can always switch to switch to calling in via phone to allow for you to utilize your volume. So next, yes, we would like to do a roll call and introduce all of the commissioners. My name is Jane Chrysler. I'm the chair and conservation architect. And then why don't we go around the room and start with Pete.
Andy Duncan, NP, preservation architect. Mike Conklin, developer.
Heather Vasquez Johnson, practicing architect.
Fred Blake, property owner. Jim Gravener, resident.
I'm Jack Capetto and landmark staff. So moving on to our agenda. We do not have a meeting record from December because we did not have we don't have a meeting record approval for November. No, I just realized we didn't send that to you. Yeah. Okay, so we can move on from that to our consent agenda, and we do have 2 items on our consent agenda for today. They are project 2022 COA 570, which is 1455 16th Street, Market Station, as well as 2022 COA 571, 1360 16th Street. 16M. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding either item on the consent agenda, or would like to pull any of the items from the consent agenda? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Fred, second.
That was almost, I could barely hear that.
Second.
Thank you. Just for the recording.
And then no roll call.
You need no roll call, but you need to vote.
So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? The consent agenda, motion passes, so the consent agenda is approved. And if there's anyone here or listening, who are here in support of those items, we appreciate your participation and your project. Our design review agenda. So just to review that process before we get started, staff will make a presentation, which is followed by an opportunity for commissioners to ask any questions. After that, the applicant will be invited to present for up to 10 minutes, or if it's an infill project, up to 15 minutes. And then after that presentation, we will also have the opportunity for commissioners to ask questions. At that point, members of the public are welcome to comment for up to 2 minutes each. And once again, if you're joining by computer, tablet, or smartphone, you can select the hand raise option, or if you're calling in on your phone, you can dial *9. Staff may offer any clarifications after public comment, and once that is complete, then the commission will go into deliberation and ultimate vote. So the first item that we have on our design review agenda is 2022 CSP 010-1860 Lake Street.
Thank you, Jane. So here is the proposed comprehensive design plan for an existing multi-tenant structure at 1860 Lake Street. Half of the building is a contributing structure, as you can see on the corner on the left, which was constructed in 1886. And the other half is a non-contributing storage office tower addition that was constructed in 1983. It's located at the corner of 19th Street and Lake Street. And as I said, here's a photo on the left. You can see the contributing part of the structure, and there's just a rendering here on the right. So here you can see our sign allowances, generally defined. All signage will be located at the building base, except for one upper story wall sign that is proposed on the non-contributing portion of the structure. The applicant is proposing a maximum of 3 signs for all uses by right, and the proposed illumination types are outlined. Lighting must be either external, disposed neon halo, or LED illumination. Proposed conduit rates of reduction boxes are not allowed, and the one proposed upper story wall sign will not be illuminated. Each sign type also lists appropriate illuminations. So this is the site plan for all proposed signage. As I said, almost all signage will be located at the building base except that one upper story wall sign, which is proposed to face onto Lake Street. A variety of sign types are proposed for the structure, including wall signs, one upper story wall sign location, projecting signs, joint tenant ID sign, and parking wayfinding signage. So here's the Lake Street elevation, which has a variety of those sign types we just mentioned. Wall and projecting signs are located at the ground level. The projecting signs are in green and the wall signs are in red. We also have one joint tenant ID sign at this elevation. It's located at the main entrance to the structure, which is on the addition. And then here you can see the one upper story wall sign location in orange, just above the main entrance on the non-contributing portion of the structure. So this is the 19th Street elevation, which shows minimal additional sign locations near another entrance to the contributing portion of the structure. And there's just one wall and one projecting near that. And you see the three projecting signs in the corner. So wall signs for this property are proposed as A1 in this package in R and red. Wall signs are limited to a maximum of 6 square feet area, will be of high quality materials and limited to a maximum depth of 3.5 inches. No illumination is proposed for these signs. And then here is the one upper story wall sign, which is proposed as A2 and is in orange in the package. The upper story wall sign is for a major tenant only that occupies all or majority of the building. Only one sign and location is allowed, and it's on the non-contributing portion of the structure. The sign will be constructed of high quality materials. The upper story wall sign will not be illuminated and will be reviewed by the LDBRC prior to permitting. Here are the projecting signs, which are proposed as B and in green in the package. Projecting signs are encouraged to be eye-catchy, well-crafted, three-dimensional objects. They will be limited to 12 square feet in area with limited wording and will be located at the ground level only. All projecting signs will also be reviewed by the LDBRC prior to permitting. And then here we have the one joint tenant ID wall sign, which is proposed as C in the package and in yellow. This will just be located at the main entrance to the building off Lake Street on the non-contributing portion of the structure. And finally, we have the parking wayfinding sign locations. Those are proposed as D and D1 in the package and are in blue. All of these signs are located at Lake Street near the parking entrance to the structure. Only one wall sign and one projecting sign location may be used at a time. And the projecting parking sign is limited to 6 square feet per face. So all signage materials are proposed to be high quality, durable materials like metal, aluminum, stone, cement, etc., which you can see on page 18 of the comprehensive site plan. Additionally, all the illumination is limited to halo, LED, or exposed neon for lighting signs when externally focused lighting is not possible, which you can also see the CSP on page 19. The proposed site plan meets the lower downtown design guidelines for signage, therefore staff is recommending approval.
Okay, do any commissioners have questions for staff? Oh, sorry, going the wrong way. All right, Kevin, I am voting you to panelist. So you'll have to accept that you've accepted, and if you'd like to turn your video on, you're welcome to do so. You can also unmute.
Good morning.
Good morning. And just to let you know, remind you, you have 10 minutes to make a presentation. And be sure, I think the only other thing I need to let you know is please be sure to provide your name and address for the record when you speak, and we will show you your 10 minute clock. And good morning.
Yes, my name is Kevin Penland. I'm with Art House Design, and I'm sorry, did you need us to give our address? Is that what you said for the record? I couldn't hear you.
Yes, your address.
Our address, yes. Our address is 2373 Central Park Boulevard. We're at Suite 204 in Denver, Colorado. And we are submitting this CSP on behalf of the building owner and one of the major tenants that will hope to eventually acquire a couple of the signs that we mentioned, that staff actually mentioned, Crystal mentioned in the presentation. So the plan that we're looking at here, as Crystal mentioned, all the signs that are shown in the CSP we placed on here, majority of them are on the Blake Street elevation. We only show a couple on the 19th Street for option. If future tenants may elect to use that side. So looking at the Blake Street elevation here, you can see we show the orange A2 is the largest piece, which is the upper story wall sign, would have a position on the non-contributing building, and that is going to be non-illuminated and would have a maximum square footage allowance of 90 square feet, and everything would comply with LDDRC as far as projection distance at 3.5 inches. And the other items that you see here, the next largest thing would be over to the right, the parking and directional signage D1 and D is also on the non-contributing side. We felt it was important to get those in the CSP to provide some constraint for future needs if the building operator decides to do anything there. I'm sorry, for in the future, if the building owner decides. There's nothing there currently, and we wanted to get this in the CSP. I felt it was needed here. Also for the design of the projecting sign, they'll only be allowed one. If you look at, there's a keynote on the CSP elevation there. They can do one of those two, and the long horizontal D1 that you see there. Other points of interest on this elevation, I would say, are the projecting signs that you see in green, the B type. They are allowed, tenant would be allowed to have one near their entry that they would pick one of those, and that would be the one on 19th on the left side that we're seeing there in this Blake Street elevation. The small red signs are also applicable to that tenant entry. They would pick one of those, and they're very small, as you saw in the example sheet. It's meant to be primarily a pedestrian or solely a pedestrian scaled element at eye level that is indicating the entry for that tenant if they choose to use one. Let's advance into the package, the next sheet, if you could. I don't think I can. Yeah, let's go to the next. This is the 19th Street elevation. Here's this is the image. I'm sorry, this one here. Yeah, this is reference image set for that. Very small plaque sign is what we usually refer to them, wall sign. So no illumination on that. Let's keep going through to the wall sign. Yeah, wall sign we're showing as 3.5 inch projection. It's non-illuminated and sitting up on the brick in that zone on the non-contributing side of the building, just below the roof line of the historic portion of the building to its left. And I think that's it for the most part. Everything follows along and comports with the design guidelines.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are
you.
there any questions for the applicant from commissioners? I'm not seeing any, so at this point, we will ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to comment on the application.
You can use the hand raise button, or if you're on the phone, dial *9. Not
seeing anyone, so that's why I thought I'd remind people that. Okay. Okay, well then, without any public comment, we can move into our deliberation.
Great, and I'm gonna stop sharing so that, and then Mike, we're gonna, or not Mike, sorry, Kevin, we're gonna move you over, and back to Debbie, but you can still hear. And hopefully, oh, did I move someone else? Yep. Sorry, Taylor, I messed up. What's that? I don't know what that, oh, it's Brittany.
It's Brittany.
Crap. Sorry, Brittany, sorry, I'm moving you back. All right, I'm gonna stop touching the screen. You guys do your thing.
Yeah. Start. I agree with the staff recommendation. I think it meets the guidelines. I think it's appropriate. Not over the top, but the right amount of signs to do, and like the effort to keep most of the upper story and signs on the non-contributing piece, so comfortable.
I totally agree. Just a quick question to make the applicant's life easier, maybe in the future. Sign D1, which is like the parking sign. Does it have to be at that height? I'm just wondering if there's no dimension on that off the ground in the rendering here. And I just wanted, for their benefit, to see if they have some flexibility. Maybe that would want to be higher, for example. I don't know if there's some structure behind there.
I mean, it kind of looks like there might be some structure behind it.
In the picture there does. There's nothing in the rendering. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify if they're lot saving anything, just to prevent them from having to come back on the technicality later.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like there's already structure there.
Yeah, it's like maybe there's a deck there. I don't know. But
Yeah. And I don't think they could bring it any lower, or you would take
that would be
refract, but we can ask. Just clarification. But yeah, I was thinking that, I think it's a good question because to me, it looked like they were aligning it with the projecting sign.
if you zoom in on the picture on the first page, it looks like there's some structure there. And I'm thinking they're mounting it to the structure somehow. I don't know if that structure is actually drive lane or if that used to be something else, or if that's horizontal brace of some sort. But anyway, it's fine with me. I just wanted to, again, make sure the applicant had some reasonable flexibility on the height of that sign if needed.
I believe it's just the structure that's currently there. Projecting that. Yeah. There's already like a structure where the parking entrance is. It doesn't have signage on it, so I think it's meant to be on that. It's a little bit wider than it looks in the application, but it is an existing piece that's already there that looks like it would align with the projecting sign location.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Otherwise, it sounds like to a motion.
I move to recommend approval of application 2022 CST 010 for the comprehensive sign plan at 1860 Lake Street as per design guidelines related to signage, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided to staff.
Greg, is there a second? I'll second. Thank you, Heather. All those in favor of approving the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you again, Kevin, for being here and providing information. Okay. We'll move us to our next project on our design review agenda, and that is 2022 CSP 011 1416th Street, comprehensive sign. Take it away, Chris.
Thanks, Jane. So here we have the proposed comprehensive sign plan for an existing multi-tenant structure at 1416th Street. The building is a non-contributing structure built in 2000, located on the 16th Street Mall, facing towards what is now Market Station, and is located between Market Street and Lake Street. Here are just some existing photos of the structure. There you go. So here's a sign allowance table. All signage will be located at the building base, except for an existing projecting parking sign that is already on the structure. The applicant is proposing a maximum of 3 signs for all uses by right. The proposed illumination types are outlined here. Lighting must be either external, exposed neon, halo, or LED illumination. So here you can see the site plan for all proposed signage. All signage will be located on the building base except that one existing projecting parking sign, which is located on Market Street. A variety of sign types are proposed, including wall signs, projecting signs, window signs, joint tenant ID signs, and parking wayfinding signage. So this is the 16th Street elevation, which has a variety of sign types proposed at the street level, including wall, projecting, window, and joint tenant ID signs near main entrances. Here is the Lake Street elevation, which also has additional locations for wall, projecting, window, and project wayfinding. And this is the Market Street elevation, which has that one existing projecting parking sign above the ground level. It's noted as GP in dark blue. You can also find the wall, projecting window, and other parking wayfinding signs being added in this location. So here is a detail of a typical elevation, so you can see details showing the height and size limits for wall, projecting, and window signage here. As you can see, the projecting signs will align with the transom, and the window signs are located towards the bottom 20%, and then also a little more leeway on glass floors. And the wall signs will be located on existing metal structures, which the wall signs can project 10 inches above or below that structure is currently in place, which you'll see an example of. So wall signs are proposed as A in red in the package. They are limited to the size locations shown in the CSP. Though the area maximum appears to be large in the sign mount table, the signs will be limited per the CSP locations shown. The signs will be of high quality materials and limited to a maximum of 3.5 inches in depth. An example of these sign locations can be seen on the bottom right, where you see that Middleton Company sign. Those metal panels with the wall sign attached to it are existing on the building, and so will be located in those locations. So here's the projecting signs. They're proposed in B in yellow in the package. Projecting signs are encouraged to be eye-catching, well-crafted, three-dimensional objects. They will be limited to 12 square feet in area with limited wording and located at the ground level only. Projecting signs shall not exceed 1 per 25 linear feet of building frontage, and all projecting signs will be reviewed by the LVDRC prior to permitting. So here we have window and door signs, which are proposed in C. Purple in the package. Window signage is typically located at eye level on doors adjacent to entrances or in the lower 20% of the storefront windows. Maximum graphic image area shall exceed 20% of the total window area, with 10% allowed to be opaque or solid, and no illumination is proposed. And then here we have the joint NID wall signs, which two are allowed for building frontage. They are proposed as D in the package in blue and are located near main entrances to the building on each elevation. And then here we have the parking wayfinding sign locations as proposed as GP and GW in the package, which are the colors dark blue and green. So at the top left of the photos, you can see that one existing projecting parking sign, which is above ground level. And then all the other ones will be located at ground level near the parking entrances. There's also a note in here that says that if that existing projecting parking sign is ever removed, further signs would need to conform to the CSP and current zoning regulations, which likely would allow that. So all signage materials are proposed to be high quality, durable materials, like metal, aluminum, stone, cement, per the examples found on page 19 of the CSP. Additionally, illumination is limited to halo, external LED, or exposed neon for all signs. And that's on page 20 of the CSP. So the proposed comprehensive sign frame does meet the lower downtown design guidelines for signage, and staff is recommending approval.
Crystal? Any questions for Crystal from commissioners? Just a quick one, probably technical, maybe for the applicant. The packet is stamped draft. Are you expecting any changes, or is that just?
I think it was just in case there were here, so we would take that off prior to.
Okay. Thanks. There are no other questions for Crystal. Then we can invite the applicants to unmute themselves.
And also they can turn on their camera if they like.
Yes. And just as a reminder, you will have up to 10 minutes to make a presentation. Sorry. So you'll have up to 10 minutes to make a presentation. If there are any issues from the staff presentation that you would like to respond to, please feel free. And please make sure to say your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Maddie Bonthron. I'm with Art House Design as well. Our address is 2373 Central Park Boulevard in Suite 204. I don't have a ton more to add than what Crystal covered. I think this one is a fairly straightforward, like Crystal said, everything is at ground level, save the one giant projecting sign. It's really, they wanted to just have something more cohesive. So as they get more tenant turnover, especially along that 16th Street, just to have some sort of guidelines there in place. So I think this will be really helpful, for the building owner and future tenants. And really the only thing I wanted to talk about were the existing sign brackets. Every single doorway has an existing bracket, and there are a handful of existing projecting sign brackets. The existing ones are quite large, and those will stay unless they get removed. And then any new brackets that are built will be built to match the existing ones, but slightly smaller so that they will conform to the to this new CSP. So that's really the only thing I wanted to talk about was the existing brackets, and make sure that there's still uniformity throughout, even though if they won't match exactly in size. I don't think I have anything else. It's a pretty small one.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And are there any questions for Maddie from the commissioners? All right. without any questions, then we can move on to see if there is anyone from the public who would like to make a comment on this application. Can't see any hands raised. Double check real fast. Nope. All right, quiet group. I'll stop sharing. Okay, then we can go ahead and go into our deliberations.
Similar to the last project, all the signs seem appropriately placed, there's nothing. Sorry, all the signs are appropriately placed, there's nothing out of ordinary or unexpected.
I would agree. I don't have any, I agree with staff comments.
Okay. I move to recommend approval of application 2022 CSP 011 for the comprehensive sign plan of 1400 16th Street as per design guidelines related to signage, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff reports.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Andy, for the second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. And thank you, Art House, for 2 applications that were very complete and didn't require a lot of discussion on our end. So appreciate that. And I'm sure to staff for helping them. Okay. So that brings us to our third and final agenda item for design review, and that is 2022 COA 572 1531 Market Street.
Hi,
So
good
that's
morning.
Brittany.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Morning. So our next application is for parking screening and a new ADA ramp at 1531 Market Street, which is the building that houses Qdoba that you can see in this photo here, but all the work will be located in this void in the lower downtown streetscape where there is currently a parking lot and an outdoor dining patio. The parking lot is currently protected by gates that the applicant is proposing to remove and provide a more secure solution to. So the proposal is for new parking screening that will be located along Market Street, the alley elevation, and along portions of the outdoor patio. The patio will remain open to Market Street, so the patio will engage with the streetscape, but screening will be located along the back side of the outdoor patio and the side elevation of the patio to provide screening for that parking. So the proposed parking screening is a custom steel 8-inch tall screening system with a metal panel from Parasoleil. The panel will be dawn grill pattern, which you can see here in this image, and then it'll have a 2-inch border on each panel. The screen will have an aged bronze finish, and then a pedestrian gate will be located along Market Street on the side, which will allow egress and ingress into the parking lot. So you can see that in the site plan here. The screens again will be attached to the patio structure, again to provide screening to the parking lot. So the lower downtown design guidelines do state that screening is encouraged to screen cars or parkings, and it states to visually obscure to a degree what is behind the screen. The intent is not to hide or make disappear the subject of the screening, but to diminish its prominence or push it visually into the background. The screen becomes the dominant focus instead of the subject behind. A screen can be mostly solid or mostly transparent, depending on its purpose it is to serve and the subject behind it. So based on the guidelines provided by the Lower Downtown Design Guidelines, we do feel that the screening is achieving this objective of screening the parked cars behind the Market Street alley elevation and the outdoor patio that is currently in the vacant parking lot. In addition to the outdoor screening, a new ADA compliant ramp will be built. This is behind that outdoor patio that you saw from the other street views. Here are just some images of it. So the existing ramp will be demolished and replaced with a new concrete ramp with ADA compliant handrails and grade. It's just a simple ramp design, and we'll be using the existing doors. So we did evaluate that based on the guidelines for landmark structures and districts, which are supplemental to the Lower Downtown Design Guidelines. And the ADA ramp will not significantly alter historic features of the building and is located in an area that allows ADA access from the building's parking lot. So staff are recommending approval of this project as we feel that it meets the design guidelines for Lower Downtown and the general design guidelines for landmark structures and districts.
Thank you, Brittany. Are there any questions from commissioners for staff? Not hearing any, then we can go ahead and move on and invite the applicant to unmute themselves. And another reminder, you have up to 10 minutes to make a presentation. Feel free to respond to any specific comments or questions brought up in the staff report. And please be sure to state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Zach Knight. I'm with Urban Frontier, the ownership group here. Address is 1515 Market Street, Suite 200, Denver, Colorado. So I don't have a ton to add from Brittany's presentation. Really do want to give you some background on the need here, which is you know what's driving us to want to install the gates and screening. As the building owner, one of our primary concerns is protecting our tenants and our building. And we've had a significant amount of issues with people breaking into cars, vandalism inside the parking lot, homeless encampments and the like. And so we've been working with Graham from Spectrum General Contractors and Art Hoy, our architect, to come up with a design that accomplishes that while maintaining the aesthetic that we all have come to love in Lower Downtown. So I think this design really achieves that, achieves our needs for protecting the folks parking in our lot there, which is my company as well as Qdoba, our tenant there, and keeps a lot of the vandalism and through traffic going between the back alley and Market Street that has been problematic, at least in my time over the last 16 months working there. Graham, is there anything you really want to talk to on the aesthetic here, or any of the finer points of the design?
I'll just chime in for a brief minute. I'm Graham Johnson, as Zach mentioned, with Spectrum General Contractors, 5135 East 38th Avenue in Denver. And what we were hoping to accomplish here with Brittany's guidance too, and thank you for your help, Brittany, and meeting the criteria for mostly open and mostly concealed, with the screening that allows the patio to remain open to the sidewalk, but then the gate with about a half a dozen parking spaces that'll be closed off and protected, but a nice continuity along the sidewalk there. So I think the hope was that it would blend in and not be something that sticks out with the existing patio, and something a little more secure, but also a little more architecturally relevant to the Lower Downtown district than just the white vinyl plastic swing arm gates as well. So really working within the existing parameters of what's there, but working to meet the needs that Zach and Urban Frontiers have for their use of the parking lot as well. And of course, happy to answer any questions if the commission has them.
Thanks, Graham. Are
Yep.
there any, or I'm sorry, is there more to?
Oh, I just
Well-
just saying thanks. You're good.
Any questions from commissioners for the applicant?
I have one question, and first and foremost is, for full disclosure, I've worked with Graham and Spectrum on this project, but it doesn't have any bearing on this project. Graham, does any of the new screening elements attach into the existing buildings, or are they freestanding?
Nothing attaches to the existing buildings, and that is one reason that we looked at a sliding gate option here instead. You know, with an overhead coiling door or anything like that, we were potentially getting into a much bulkier structure. And with the building, which is to the sort of northwest, called North on Market Street, being of course separate property and a brick party wall, we did want to hold off of that building. And similarly, the existing patio structure for Qdoba is in place and kind of currently set up to have flexibility for a canvas awning or to be open. But the panels that are being added to that are a part of a system that interacts with the steel patio, but does not touch the historic building at 15, it would be 1531 or 1529, our next, building that actually houses Qdoba in there. So short of tying into existing contemporary structure at the patio, we are not touching the historic buildings, except for where the ADA ramp is going in to replace the existing, which has settled and started to fail. So no new contact with the historic structures.
Any other questions? The applicant? All right. Then is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this application?
All the people who are on our applicants from other projects, so no one's raising hands, we'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. Then at this time, the commission can go or will go into deliberation. Anyone who'd like to kick us off with any comments or thoughts on this application?
I think it all makes sense to me. The only comment I have is that I did find the drawing package challenging to navigate. It would be helpful in the future for it to conform to the downtown directions that the city has established. Just for ease of comprehension, I spent some time trying to figure out if one of the elevations was on the street-facing side of the patio. That took some digging to try and really figure out. So that was really my only comment, but otherwise it makes sense to me. I think that the removal of the booms is nothing but positive. and certainly I think it makes sense to screen the parking lot toward the alley and toward the parking itself, and appreciate that they're not trying to screen it to the street. So
I think the only comments that I would add is the accessible ramp is replacing a like for like, and the screening of the parking lot itself is not being attached to the building. It's low scale. It doesn't obscurity in the building elements, and it's reversible. So I agree with staff.
I agree. I felt the proposal and guidelines nicely into the overall improvement. Any other comments? Would like to make a motion.
I'll be happy to right here. I move to approve application 2022 COA 572 for the parking screening and ADA ramp at 1531 Market Street as per the design guidelines for lower downtown 9.1.2, the design guidelines for Denver landmark structures, and District 2.68, character defining features for lower downtown historic district presented testimony, submitted presentation and information provided in staff report.
Thank you, Brad. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Andy, for the second. All those in favor of the proposed motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks again to the applicant and to staff. That concludes our design review agenda. And unless anyone has any business or discussion items to bring up. Nope. Then thanks to all for a very efficient, no, but truly, thanks to staff for making sure that things that cross our desks are well put together and things evidenced by a ton of confusion or questions. So just wanted to thank the applicants and staff for making sure that we're always getting high quality information. So thank you. All right.
Everybody.
Yeah, thanks. And go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 9:28. I will pause the Sheridan.